What's good, everybody, man? This is your guy, Manny, and welcome to the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. Welcome to a new podcast episode. It's been a while since I came to you guys. Many of you guys know I have a newborn now. But man, we're going to talk NFL Week 17. A lot happened. I'm going to share my screen a little bit. We're going to go through as many games as possible. We're going to talk about Antonio Brown. I don't know what's wrong with that guy. Antonio Brown is literally insane. But yeah, we're going to talk about all that and more. I'm going to go ahead and run my intro. We're going to go ahead and get started. Before we get started, I would like to kick things off by saying Happy New Year. I hope you guys have a prosperous New Year this year. Hopefully you guys are doing what you guys say you're going to do. I didn't make any New Year's resolutions this year. I know what I need to do, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it without telling the world, hey, I'm going to do this and this and that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started, man. So looking at the landscape of the NFL, Week 17 was a big week, especially for those who play fantasy football. It was championship week for a lot of people. I was able to win 3 championships, possibly a fourth one tonight if I can get Nick Chubb and Pat Freiermuth to give me 20 points combined. Had I started Russell Wilson, I would have won. I tried to outsmart myself, and I started Huntley. Huntley did nothing for the Ravens, and I'm in a predicament that I'm in now. Had I started Russell, game's over. I win my 4th championship this year. Came in second in 2 other money leagues, and then came in third in a few others. And then I also was able to win, I think, 1 or 2 free dynasty leagues that are going to turn into money leagues next year. So was definitely a great year. Definitely a great year. So let's get this thing on and popping. So the Giants played the Chicago Bears on Sunday. And for those of you guys who stream defenses for fantasy football, had you picked the Chicago Bears defense and started them, you possibly won your league. They got me 21 points in a few, and they got me 25 points in a few other leagues. So great streamer. Not much to talk about that game. The Giants are just ultra trash. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is. They're going to have a decision to make. Do we continue to run with Daniel Jones, or do we go ahead and make other choices, other decisions to improve that team? Let's go ahead and slide to the next game. You have the New England Patriots versus the Jacksonville Jags. That was a good game. I enjoyed every bit of that game. The Patriots putting up 50 points. You can say, wow, that's a lot, but they've done something similar this season. Bill Belichick continues to do great things for that team. There was a time when the Patriots had the number 1 overall seed in the AFC. Now belongs to the Titans, but New England is a dangerous team. They play good defense. They run the ball with Ramondre Stevenson and Damian Harris, 2 great backs, especially if you're playing Dynasty and you have one of these 2 backs, you're set up nicely for the future. I think that Ramondre Stevenson ends up being the guy in the future. And then for the present right now is Damian Harris. He had 3 touchdowns 2 weeks ago and had a touchdown yesterday. So both backs are doing great things for the Patriots. Mac Jones had 3 touchdowns, I believe. He continues to get better and better and better. He still has plenty holes. When you get to the playoffs, you're not going to be playing teams like the Jags. So this was a gift. This is one of those games, like a get-right game, get into the groove, practice, work on your game. It was like pretty much a live scrimmage. And the Patriots, they did really well. Now, we move on to the next game. Let's talk about the Rams and let's talk about the Ravens. The Ravens did everything possible to lose that game. Rams played well. Cooper Kupp just continues to inch closer and closer to that record by Calvin Johnson. I had a conversation with one of my guys, and I was telling him, I said, look, Cooper Kupp is a really good wide receiver. Granted that Matthew Stafford has been the guy for Calvin Johnson and Cooper Kupp. Not only is Cooper Kupp doing great things this season, he's putting up records and they're winning. Everybody knows where the ball is going to go, and it's going to go to Cooper Kupp. But the thing is, nobody can stop it. So it's been an amazing dynamic to watch and see what's going on with the Rams. The Rams are one of those teams that can possibly lose in the first round, but they can possibly win the whole thing. So the NFC race is real tight. It's crazy right now. You got the Arizona Cardinals and the Rams fighting for that division. We'll see how that ends. The Buccaneers versus the Jets. Let's pause on this game for a minute. Antonio Brown walks off the field today. Now, there's been plenty said. I was on the radio this morning listening, and a guy said that the conversation with Bruce Arians and Antonio Brown went like this. Bruce Arians went to Antonio Brown and says, "Hey, I need you to get back in the game." Antonio Brown said, "No, he's not going into the game because he's hurt." Bruce Arians said, "It's either you get into the game or we cut you right now on the spot." I guess Antonio Brown walking off and taking off his pads and helmet and all this stuff, and he's throwing souvenirs into the crowd. Now, there's always three sides to the story. There's Antonio Brown's side of the story, there's Bruce Arians' side of the story, and then there's the truth. So I'm not buying he was cut on the spot. I'm not buying the Antonio Brown was hurt or not hurt. At the end of the day, we all knew that Antonio Brown was a problem. Why is Antonio Brown back on the team? See, when he faked that COVID thing and then got the fake COVID test and got cleared, next thing you know, they suspended him. But then they're bringing him back because Chris Godwin is out, Mike Evans is out, and now Tom Brady looks ultra trash when he's playing with mediocre quarterbacks, especially at the age of 44, 45. So, but you see how Tom Brady can look when he's playing with super talent. Like, you have three really good wide receivers when Antonio Brown was there. You had a tight end, actually two tight ends, three if you include O.J. Howard. And, you had running backs and Ronald Jones and Fournette. Some of these guys are Pro Bowl caliber type players, and Tom Brady looked great, has a great offensive line. But then when you see Tom Brady's weapons being altered and hurt and compromised, this is what Tom Brady looks like. Now, I'm not saying that Tom Brady can't win another championship. I'm not saying that Tom Brady does not take his team the distance. But what I am saying is that this team, they're dealing with a lot. They don't even look good on defense. So what that says to me is, if you're struggling like this to the Jets, you have your premier wide receivers hurt, the tight ends are hurt. Look, Gronkowski did all he could yesterday. And they literally almost lost to the Jets. Had the Jets not been smart by going for it on fourth down, had they kicked that field goal, made it a 7-point game, maybe Tom Brady ties the game. But when you give Tom Brady that much time, and then you tell him you can win it right here in regulation and don't have to go to overtime, 9 times out of 10, Tom Brady would do what Tom Brady does. But can these wide receivers come together and create a Super Bowl run? I don't know. The Packers look the best right now. But then again, you got the Cardinals when they're fully healthy. No DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray struggles. But we're going to get to that game in a minute. But back to this Jets and Tampa Bay game. Tampa Bay pulls it off at the end. Tom Brady said he didn't even know that Antonio Brown was gone. And that's what a leader does. He was focused on the game. He wasn't worried about what was going on the sidelines. I also heard that Mike Evans and another player try to calm Antonio Brown down and tell him, hey, don't take off your jersey. Don't do this here. Don't do this now. But Antonio Brown, being the diva that he is, I think there's going to be a movie made about Antonio Brown. I think Antonio Brown does all these antics on and off the field just so he can get a very nice Lifetime movie. There will be a movie made about Antonio Brown, and I think it's going to be epic. So we'll see how that turns out for him. Moving on to the next game, you have the Falcons versus the Bills. This was a fun game to watch. I didn't watch the game. I was watching Red Zone, but Josh Allen having 2 rushing touchdowns and then having 3 interceptions, and then the Falcons trying to make this a game, and then they're turning over the ball, they're falling short. Kyle Pitts gets hurt. It was a game, and if you played fantasy football, you needed a lot of these different players to step up. The running game for the Bills looked good. Although they struggled with the Falcons, I want to see what the Bills look like in the playoffs. The playoffs is a totally different ball game, and you're just trying to do all you can to get into the playoffs. It really doesn't even matter what the regular season says, because some of these things, some of these issues can be corrected in the postseason. So, the Bills are one of those teams that was controlling that division, and then you had Miami coming up. Then they fell short. We're going to talk about that game. But yeah, the Bills, man, they've been up and down. I don't know what's going to happen, but AJ Terrell played really good versus Stephon Diggs. When he shadowed Stephon Diggs couldn't do anything. How come the Falcons have not put Terrell on number one wide receivers and let him travel with different wide receivers? So these are some of the things that make you think, do the Falcons have a coach? What is the Falcons' future? Is Matt Ryan expendable this season? Who wants that contract? Does he get cut? A lot of things will be decided this offseason. We move on to the game of the day, which was the Chiefs versus the Bengals. I enjoyed that game. And if you play fantasy football or if you just wanted a good game to watch, that game was great. That game was amazing. I enjoyed every single bit of it. Joe Burrow is amazing. I got to pull up the stats of this game because I don't know these stats by heart, but I can tell you this. I had Jamar Chase in fantasy, and Jamar Chase got me a lot of points. I believe he got me 55 fantasy points, literally won me 2 championships, one for $900 and the other for $450. So Jamar Chase single-handedly won me a lot of money this fantasy playoffs. But you look at Patrick Mahomes. I had a conversation with somebody that I know, and I told him Patrick Mahomes does not run the ball. He runs the ball only if he needs to. There's a difference. You have quarterbacks who are running quarterbacks, and then you have quarterbacks who run the ball. There's a difference. There's a difference. You can be a mobile quarterback, or you can be a quarterback that's mobile enough to get those tough yards when you need to get those yards. But shout out to the Kansas City run game. Darrell Williams ran the ball 14 times for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's been amazing. Like, he's a guy that can be a starter on the right system or in the right coaching staff or whatever. Darrell Williams is a really good back. They lost Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who happens to, possibly going to come back healthy. But was that Clyde Edwards-Helaire pick really worth it? I mean, it seems like it was a bad pick. I mean, if Darrell Williams is giving you this kind of production, maybe you should have ran with Darrell Williams and used that first-round pick for an offensive line to help Patrick Mahomes. But, hey, you always try to, get better. Patrick Mahomes, a little casual, 259 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He was able to get different guys involved, including a 53-yard bomb to Mecole Hardman, Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill, I don't know what's going on with him right now, but I know in the playoffs is when he steps up big. He had 6 receptions for 40 yards, and I know a lot of fantasy owners were dependent on Tyreek Hill in the playoffs, and he did not pan out for literally none of us. DeMarcus Robinson and Kelsey both had touchdowns. Kelsey really picked it up this season, man. Another season of 1,000 yards. Kelsey is showing why he's one of the greatest tight ends of all time. We'll see what his numbers look like when it's all said and done. Kansas City's defense, sometimes they look like they're improving, and then sometimes they take a step back. Jaron Reed had a sack. Frank Clark had a sack. Chris Jones had 2 sacks, but it still was not enough versus this Cincinnati Bengals offense. Look, Joe Burrow played. Literally, he outplayed Patrick Mahomes. But then Joe Burrow didn't have the help in the run game that Patrick Mahomes had. You look at Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon's been great this season. He only had 12 carries for 46 yards. And granted, they were losing this game. So the Bengals had to pass and pass and pass to get back into the game. Joe Burrow had 446 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, and 3 of those touchdowns went to Jamar Chase, who had a rookie career record-breaking day, 11 catches, 266 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns. It's crazy because in a particular league that I'm in, I just went back-to-back championship, right? And last year, it was Kamara's 6-touchdown game that won me the championship. And this year in the championship is Jamar Chase. So fantasy is all about luck. Sometimes you get lucky. T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, even Joe Mixon was out here catching passes. Tyler Boyd had a touchdown. TJ Uzoma is another good tight end, another good weapon. P-Ron is out there as well. So Joe Burrow has a nice complement of weapons. And, shout out to Cheeto B. Awuzie. He has been amazing this season. He had 10 tackles. He's just been that guy. Like, he's been one of their most consistent defensive backs. Shouts out to Eli Apple and Larry Ogunjobi and the rest of this defense. Look, they drafted well 3 years in a row. They have done a marvelous job in the free agent market. And look, the Bengals are going to be a tough out. As long as Joe Burrow continues to play like this, let's look at Joe Burrow's last few games. I mean, it's been insane. I'm talking about insane, man. Let me see. So you guys know last week he had 525 yards passing, right? 4 touchdowns. This week, 446 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. 8 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Literally almost 1,000 yards passing in the last 2 games. Nuts. This is amazing. I've never seen anything like this. He's playing on that level. Like on look, 34 touchdowns, 14 picks. He's making a case for MVP. He's making a case for MVP. Now, obviously, they're not going to give it to him because he has not been as consistent as, a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Jonathan Taylor or even a Cooper Kupp. I'm hoping that Cooper Kupp gets the respect that he deserves for that MVP. But yeah, Joe Burrow has been amazing these last 2 games. He's possibly going to go for 5,000 yards this year, and he can definitely do it come next week. But we'll see what happens, man. Yeah, that was one of the most enjoyable games of the year. Kansas City versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, let's go on to the next game on the list. 1 second. All right. Where are we? We just talked about the Chiefs. Okay, now the Dolphins. These guys were coming off of a 7-game win streak. They're playing the Titans. And to be honest, I know I got some Titans fans watching this game. I had the Dolphins winning this game. I'm sorry to the Titans fans that are going to watch the replay, but I had the Dolphins winning this game because the Dolphins were hot. They were doing whatever it took to win. Sometimes it's defense, sometimes it's Tua, sometimes it's the one game. They just found ways to win. And the Titans have been up and down. Even the game that they won versus the San Francisco 49ers last week, I wasn't convinced at all. But the Titans came in. They ran the ball very well. And, Deontay Foreman, I'm happy for him. This guy right here has suffered so much, and he has come back. He's come back strong. 26 carries, 132 yards, rushing, and a touchdown. Dontrell Hilliard, another touchdown. When you add Derrick Henry to this offense, it only gets better. You have A.J. Brown. I don't know what happens with Julio, but I don't think they need Julio anymore, to be honest. Like, you can just run with what you got. Like, the Titans just find ways to score points. They picked up Zach Cunningham, which is a pretty good pickup. Shout out to Harold Landry, man. This guy has double-digit sacks, and I didn't even know. It's just kind of crept up on me. But, yeah, they dominated Miami. Miami was a fraudulent team. I gave Miami too much credit. Duke Johnson, shout out to Duke Johnson. He's come in. He's played well. But, yeah, man, the Dolphins have a lot to do. And hopefully next year the Dolphins draft a offensive lineman because that's really what they need. They need offensive linemen. Not only that, they need a running back. And you definitely need another wide receiver opposite of Jalen Waddle. Devontae Parker's out there, but I don't know, man. It's almost like the Devontae Parker train is over. So maybe they move on from Devontae Parker. Maybe he stays, but they still definitely need to add another wide receiver via draft. There's going to be plenty guys in that draft. So possibly that's how the Dolphins improve their team. But yeah, moving on, man. Like I said, there's plenty great games this past week. Let's go to the Raiders versus the Colts game. Look, Raiders did really good. Raiders was a team that I thought, they can possibly, make it to the playoffs. And, right now they have a chance. They're 9-7. Derek Carr is so underrated. Once again, another good game. And what's that guy's name? Hunter Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow has come out of nowhere and now has a 1,000-yard receiving season. So shout out to Hunter Renfrow. He should have had another touchdown, but the NFL took that away. And look what Derek Carr is doing. No offense to Hunter Renfrow, but you got Renfrow, who's a slot wide receiver, and you got guys like Zay Jones and Foster Moreau. He's lost all of his weapons for various reasons that I'm not going to get into. Josh Jacobs had a decent game. But, yeah, the Raiders, when you look at them, they don't flash. They don't have a lot of flash on offense or defense, but they have a solid defense. They got some guys that can play, and Ngakoue and Max Crosby and the rest of these boys. Denzel Perryman, who made the Pro Bowl. Shout out to him because, look, this guy right here is a guy that people wrote off and said, hey, he's not going to amount to anything. Shout out to Zay Jones. Zay Jones had 120 yards receiving. I didn't even know that, to be honest. Darius, man, what's good, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. I know it's been a while, but definitely wanted to come on and talk some football. Ladarius says, Packers are winning the Super Bowl, A-Rod MVP. I'll give you one of the two. I think that Aaron Rodgers wins the MVP. Can the Packers win the Super Bowl? Yes. But for right now, I think it's too early to determine that. But they are pretty good. They are pretty good, and they look. They definitely look good right now, and they definitely could win it all. The Colts, look, the Colts are a funny team because when Jonathan Taylor runs for 100 yards, 9 times out of 10 they usually win. Carson Wentz didn't do enough for these guys. Michael Pittman Jr. has fallen off. T.Y. Hilton had a touchdown, but it was a busted play. What is going on with the Colts defense? Like, I mean, there's so many question marks because I respect the Colts as a team that can get into the playoffs and do some damage. But at the same time, I don't know what the outcome can be for the Colts. What's good, Hawk, man? Appreciate you hopping on the stream, man. Let's get it. We move on to the next game. We got the Eagles versus the Washington football team. And you know what? Washington played a beautiful first half of football. To be honest, I was thinking Washington was going to win this game. I mean, at a point in time, it was 16 to 7. You know, it was a long field goal, 55-yard field goal by Joey Sly. Washington had all the momentum, and next thing you know, the Eagles just go off for 13 points to come back and win this game. Jalen Hurts, he didn't do anything spectacular passing the ball, but you're playing a beat-down Washington team. The true hero for this Eagles team was Boston Scott, who was also a hero for me in my fantasy football team, helping me earn some more money. Also, Dallas Goedert had a good game. Devontae Smith. Can Jalen Hurts be the franchise guy? Can Jalen Hurts be a guy that the Eagles depend on? I don't know. As a Washington fan, I'm not hoping that Jalen Hurts struggles or fails. I just hope that the Eagles never win anything. I mean, that's just part of being a fan. I love Jalen Hurts as a person, as a human being, and even as a fantasy player. But, of course, obviously, I don't think the Eagles, the Giants, or the Cowboys should ever do well, right? That's just part of being a fan. Hawk says, Happy New Year, brother. Lord knows I'm so ready to see what happens in the 2022 season. Washington and Coach Ron Rivera can't afford to mess up this offseason. Absolutely. Look, Ron Rivera, he's done some great things. He's done some good things for the Washington football team. But at the same time, he does some things that's kind of questionable. You know, I'm like, why'd you do this? What's going on? But we're going to see what happens with the Washington football team in terms of what the football team was able to do. Taylor Heinicke had the interception, but you know what? The guy has heart. The guy is a backup. That's who Taylor Heinicke is. Shout out to Jared Patterson. I was excited to see Jared Patterson get some burn this game. Had 12 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. Also, Jared Patterson got involved in the passing game. I believe he had, 5 receptions, 41 yards. Cam Sims pitched in. Terry pitched in. Look, I don't know what's going on with Terry. Terry needs 40 more yards to have a 1,000-yard season. And to be honest, the quarterback play has been so bad that it literally cost Terry a chance at 1,000 yards. I want to see some Kyle Allen. Let's see what Kyle Allen can do. Let's see if Kyle Allen can be a guy that's kept. Either way it goes, Washington is adding a quarterback or two. I think Fitzpatrick is done. He's gone. Maybe they keep Heinicke and then, get a vet and a rookie. I would say get a vet that's better than Taylor Heinicke and then also draft a rookie that you can see as your franchise quarterback. So we'll see what happens. But shout out to John Bates. He's been good this season. He's been solid. De'Ami Brown had that 25-yard reception. Cam Curl just continues to do his thing on defense. Jamie Davis had a sack, but we don't know what Jamie Davis is. Is he a middle linebacker? Is he an outside linebacker? Plenty of holes for the Washington football team. But, we'll see what happens, man. Shout out to my guy, Philly Notion. I know he's about to tear me up. He says, Manny, just had a swing through and remind you that Washington is cheats. LOL. Yes, Jalen is our guy. Playoffs, here we come. Hey, Philly Notion, nobody called the Eagles making the playoffs but you. Outside of you being a Philly fan, you had faith in your team. You was even talking, Eagles winning 10 games, and I laughed. And I have to apologize now. I was wrong. You was right. Your Eagles look good. Y'all possibly win that 10th game and go into the playoffs, and y'all might make some noise. Who knows? Jalen Hurts is your guy. You guys have to put weapons around this guy. Do whatever you can to help this guy be successful. I mean, going from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback is draining, being a Washington fan. You already know that. It says, Happy New Year, my friend. QB priority number 1. The OGs of the DMV. Appreciate you guys hopping on the stream. But yeah, man, quarterback is number one priority for the Washington football team. I don't know what they do, but it's definitely going to be interesting. I'll tell you one thing about Washington is that the offseason is never boring. So we talk about the Chargers and the Broncos. The Broncos are one of those teams that they were fraudulent too. But then who knows how they would look with Teddy Bridgewater. Maybe they win a game or two extra with Teddy Bridgewater. But I felt that the Broncos' ceiling was always no more than 9 games. Drew Luck, part of that Dwayne Haskins draft. 2 terrible quarterbacks, especially when you add in Daniel Jones. And then Kyler Murray. I'm not going to let him off the hook. Kyler Murray is a decent to good quarterback, but he needs weapons around him. You see what he looks like with DeAndre Hopkins and what he looks like without DeAndre Hopkins. But that's a topic down the line as we go through these games. Melvin Gordon, decent game. He had a decent season. Noah Fant went off 6 receptions for 92 yards. Hopefully you guys started him in your fantasy championships this week. Cortland Sutton, man, I don't know. Is it a Cortland Sutton thing or is it a quarterback thing? They gave this guy all this money. Broncos are a team that can get a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Russell Wilson or one of these quarterbacks that's floating around. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a quarterback carousel this year. Plenty of guys are going to go like this. You're going to see recycled quarterbacks. You're going to see guys like Mariota start somewhere. You're going to see guys like Trubisky start somewhere. So it's going to be interesting. You're going to see guys like Dalton and some of these older guys become third string, second string, third string backup. So we're going to see what happens. Plenty of rookies coming in. There's about 5 quarterbacks that could possibly see the field next year. I just hope that my team drafts the right quarterback. So we'll see what happens. Philly Notion says, all the quarterbacks are on the roster are trash. None of the quarterbacks in this draft would help this team next year. Oh, yeah, bruh. And fix them weak handrails out there. What? Yeah, look, Philly fans, I don't know what you guys are doing. You guys are trying to touch the hem of Jalen Hurts' garment, and you guys fail, okay? It's not a Washington Stadium fixing the rails thing. It's the Philly fans eating too much, fixing their weight thing. So let's get that straight, okay? It says trying to hurt my quarterback. Y'all trying to hurt your own quarterback, but yeah, man, that is definitely funny. Happy New Year, my guy. Hold that L this week. Sweep. Hopefully y'all win next week. No, we don't want to win next week. Look, at this point, it's about draft positioning, playing some young guys. If they play hard, if they win, cool. But if they don't win, I don't care at this point. Hey, attack this draft, attack free agency, and then let's definitely see what happens, man. It says trying to touch his him like that man Jesus. Oh man, salute, man. Yeah, man. It's just, man, it's just all love, man. It's all love, man. Just having fun. But yeah, back to the Chargers, man. The Chargers are one of those teams that can make some noise in the playoffs right now. They're currently the 7th seed in the AFC. Austin Eckler had a good game, 17 carries, 58 yards. We know what he does in the receiving game. 3 receptions, 54 yards. Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Definitely, Justin Herbert has weapons. And that's one thing I preach. When you have a young quarterback, you want to surround him with a good running back and good receivers. Not one receiver, receivers with an S. You need 2 or more receivers and a tight end to maximize these guys' full potential. You see it with Joey Burrow. They did not need Jamar Chase. They needed a offensive line. I said Penei Sewell. But at the same time, Jamar Chase is a game changer. You see what he brings to the table. He makes life easier for Joe Burrow. Life is made easy for a guy like Justin Herbert. Patrick Mahomes, who has special, who's been special since he's been starting, but guess what? He has the weapon. So when you surround your quarterback, young or old, look at Tom Brady. He needed all those weapons to look really, really good. We know that Tom Brady is really, really good, but then you gotta get your quarterback weapons. And I'm just proud of what the Chargers are doing. I mean, I'm jealous. I mean, I need a quarterback and I need weapons, man. It just goes together. But yeah, so Chargers look good. Let's move on to the next game. Coworker of mine that I work with, he has like 5 different teams. He likes Seattle. He likes the Titans, Patriots, Bucks. He don't know who. Look, this dude has like 5 different jerseys, man. Sometimes he wears all the jerseys together. Like, he don't know who's going to win from week to week, and I find that pretty funny. 49ers versus the Texans. Not much to talk about in this game other than Davis Mills could be on it. They could be on to something. I would say hang on to Davis Mills, even if you draft another quarterback. Davis Mills is a piece that you can move for a draft pick later, similar to what the Jags did with Gardner Minshew. I do think that Gardner Minshew passes the ball better than Jalen Hurts, Philly Notion, if you're still watching, but that's a conversation for a whole nother day. Rex Burkhead has won some championships. He was good. He was solid this week. Brandon Cooks. Is Brandon Cooks a Hall of Famer? Serious question. Because this guy continues to get 1,000-yard seasons with quarterbacks, without quarterbacks, good system, bad system. Brandon Cooks is a really good wide receiver. Hall of Famer, I don't know, but the guy is really, really good. Shout out to Eli Mitchell, man. 21 carries, 119 yards. He also had a receiving touchdown and helped me win my fantasy championship. Deebo Samuel, man, the guy is special. He runs the ball. He catches the ball. 49ers are one of those teams that can possibly make some noise in the playoffs. We got to see what the NFC is looking like in its totality when it's all said and done. It says, Manny, I'm going to tell you this first one here. A lot of people feel like Coach Ron Rivera should draft a quarterback, but I have an opinion on that. All right, let me hear your opinion. It says Coach Ron Rivera had his rookie quarterback when he opted to take. Oh, okay. He had his rookie quarterback, but he opted to, play Haskins. Look, with the Haskins thing, you had to see what you had in Haskins before you go draft your rookie quarterback. Now, you can say that the Washington football team should have drafted either Herbert or Tua instead of Chase Young. But if you remember, everybody was on the Tua train. Nobody was talking about Justin Herbert there. So it's hindsight 2020. Sometimes maybe Herbert comes here and turns into trash. I don't know, because Washington does a bad job at developing quarterbacks. He also says, obviously, the experiment failed. Now he has to go big on landing the big fish quarterback like Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is not coming to D.C. Aaron Rodgers is not coming to D.C. Deshaun Watson is not coming to D.C. Your choices, Trubisky, Mariota, those caliber type quarterbacks. Those are the guys that you're going to see in Washington. Because it doesn't matter if he did not draft Haskins. He was still his guy in his first year with us. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. I'm over the Haskins thing. It didn't work. We move on. It says Gardner Minshew is trade bait. Jalen has more heart and the it factor, heart, athleticism, and the will to win and get better. Jalen hasn't even scratched the surface. I agree with everything that you said. Absolutely. I think Gardner Minshew can be a starter in this league. It's not a game changer. He's decent. He is decent, but it's definitely not a game changer. It says talking Chase. That was an absolute move, but we needed a quarterback. Yeah, I love Chase. I love Chase till today. If I knew that Herbert was going to be this, then I would have opted for Herbert over Chase. And I'm a guy that says, hey, we made the right decision, but it is what it is. Mariota, no. I'm just telling you what options there's going to be. We will trade Gardner to Washington for a second-round pick. Now, how about a fifth-round pick? It says, I'd rather take a backup from Baltimore, Tyler Huntley. Look, I'm glad you brought that up. Let's go ahead and quit talking about this Tyler Huntley guy. There is nothing that Tyler Huntley can do that Taylor Heineke can't do. Both Tyler Huntley and Taylor Heineke are both backups. They have heart. And we saw what Tyler Huntley can look like versus a good defense. He did nothing versus the Rams. He had one good game and 2 or 3 mediocre games. The only good thing that I can say that Tyler Huntley did in his stint of starting, they didn't win any games. Did they win any games? So they didn't win any games. He put up numbers, and everybody's excited about this Tyler Huntley guy. To me, he's just another guy. He's just another backup. Kyle Allen, backup. Taylor Heineke, backup. Tyler Huntley, backup. All backups. They're not game changers. You need a starter or you need a franchise quarterback. Anything outside of these two things that I just mentioned would be another epic fail for the Washington football team. Tyler Huntley is just a guy. He's a Jag. He's a Jag. You know what I'm saying? He there's nothing that he does that wows me. He's good. He's made some flashes, but that's what backups do. We need a starter. Philly Notion, we're not about to be suckered again like when we took Donovan McNabb off y'all hands. Absolutely. But yeah, moving on to the next game. We talked about the 49ers, and you got the Lions and the Seahawks. Look, I got two things to say about this game, other than Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be a stud in the NFL for years to come. He had 8 receptions for 111 yards and 1 touchdown, and that's with Tim Boyle being his quarterback. Amon-Ra St. Brown also had a rushing touchdown. So that was an amazing pickup by the Lions. I think he's very, very good. Russell Wilson had a great game. He finally found DK Metcalf. I think they connected for 3 touchdowns. Russell Wilson had 4 touchdowns total. Rashad Penny had 170 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. Rashad Penny is the new Chris Carson moving forward for the Seattle Seahawks. We got to see what happens with Russell Wilson. We got to see what happens with Pete Carroll. There's going to be a lot of changes coming up for the Seahawks. And I'm here for this wild and exciting offseason. Moving on to the next game, you got the Cardinals and the Cowboys. I keep telling people, the Cowboys are a good team. They're not a great team. They're decent. They are decent. And Cowboys, man, I really have no words. I have no words. Micah Parsons, reigning defensive rookie of the year. Where was he? You know, Kyler Murray did enough with Christian Kirk to win this game 25-22. Amari Cooper, where are you? I have questions. I have a lot of questions about the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott, I can't find you. When the games matter, I don't know who you are. Dak Prescott is on the milk carton right now. I don't know who he is. Somebody tell me. Moving on to the next game, you got the Saints and the Panthers. Saints just continue to find ways to win. Saints won this game 18-10. Saints might be playoff bound. It's between the Eagles and the Saints. Eagles got to win next week. If the Saints win and Eagles lose, I think things get interesting. I don't really know the full playoff scenario, but looking at the box score for the Panthers and the Saints, I don't even know who these guys are. Outside of Alvin Kamara, some of these names are just crazy to me. Marquez Callaway has been good this season. Shout out to them. This is a boring game. I'm not going to talk too much about the Saints and the Panthers. But the last game of the night last night was the Vikings versus the Green Bay Packers. The Packers have clinched the seed of all seeds. They get the number 1 overall and get the bye week, while the rest of the 6 other peasants fight it out to see who gets to play the Packers. But yeah, the Packers look good right now. Like somebody said earlier, they do have a pretty good chance of winning it all. Looking at Sean Minion and Kellen Mond, both look terrible. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback, whether you like him or not. And you see how good Kirk Cousins is based off of what the Vikings don't have. Justin Jefferson wasn't able to do anything because of the lack of quarterback play. Dalvin Cook, he gets hurt. He doesn't get hurt. We don't know who Dalvin Cook is sometimes. He's Jackal Hyde, gets hurt, doesn't get hurt. Yeah, the Vikings are done. They're out of that playoff race. But let's look at the Packers, man. Aaron Rodgers, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones, 8 carries for 76 yards, 9.5 yards per carry. Aaron Jones is a beast. A.J. Dillon, 14 carries for 63 and 2 touchdowns. That's a nice 1-2 punch. I think these guys have every chance to win it all. I mean, they're solid, except for the defense. The Packers' defense scared me. They were playing Sean Minion yesterday, so of course their defense is supposed to look good. Devonte Adams, 11 receptions for 136 yards and a touchdown. He's virtually unstoppable. You can argue that Devonte Adams is the best wide receiver in the league. Allen Lazard had a good game, 6 for 72 and a touchdown. Aaron Jones, 5 receptions. They all just pitched in, and then the pass rush was there. You know what I'm saying? Preston Smith had a sack, and, you know, Rashawn Gary had a sack. So, but the Packers, if they don't improve that defense, there's nothing they can do to improve their chances of even trying to win the Super Bowl. That's why I say I'm not sure about the Green Bay Packers, because at the end of the day, it boils down to that defense. Philly Notion says Dallas is overrated. Season hype, postseason trash juice. I agree with you. You know, they always yell out Dak attack. We them boys. Every year is a Super Bowl year for the Dallas Cowboys, and they continue to fall short. They're most likely going to lose in the first round of the playoffs. I don't care who the Dallas Cowboys play. 9 times out of 10, they normally lose in the playoffs. But guys, this is my time. Just wanted to get on here, talk about the NFL Week 17. I'm excited for Week 18. I'm going to come back and stream. I'll be doing more streams as the weeks and days move forward. Gotta talk, some NBA soon. But hey, if you guys are not subscribed, please subscribe to the Talking Sports with Manny YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at TS with Manny. And I'm going to catch you guys on the next episode. I'm out. Peace. Happy New Year's. Hope you guys prosper. Hope you guys have everything you guys need. You guys remain blessed. And I will catch you guys on the next one.